everybody. Welcome to Stumptcast. I'm Rick, joined as always by Jazz, Ash, and Price. Say hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hello, and welcome to another episode. It's been a good 2 weeks. We've got some big news, a big milestone that we hit this week today, as a matter of fact, for you people on the channel today. You'll be seeing it. And so we've got plenty of stuff to talk about. But of course, like we do every week, we're going to get started with how is your week? And this week, I think I want to know how Ash is doing first this week. What up, bud?
I'm doing?
Aww.
I want to know all about you.
Aww.
Okay, how was my week? This past week kind of sucked.
You had
admit,
that really long day at work, didn't you?
So for 5 days technically, I had to work Sunday through Thursday at this sales conference thing for my job, and every day was like either an 11 to a 14-hour day. Like it was ridiculous. And the crazy part, this was a sales summit. The amount of money that people spend at these sales, like my company just dropped a massive amount of money on like catering and AV and all this crap for all these salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
They went out to this Punch Bowl Social, which is a bar downtown, and they dropped like $12,000 just like having everyone be an open bar and everything.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was insane.
Were there any perks for you working overtime? Did any of that trickle down to you, the little guy?
I got all my meals paid for those days, which was nice. And then, I got to rub elbows with all the head VPs and whatnot at my company. But I mean, beyond that, I got the hotel was really nice to me, and they hooked us up with like a whole bunch of like popcorn and little like candies and stuff.
Dude, those
we have like
what were the nuts that you got?
Doug's nuts.
Doug's nuts. I don't have any with me, but man,
bomb.
It's like
those
a trail
are
mix
so
with like coconut
good.
chips and stuff in it.
The
Good stuff.
little the coconut chips and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Those are so good. Anyway, I'm just happy that that's over. So that's how my week's been. Yeah.
Aw, poor Ash.
What do you? So I'm going to start something new this week.
Okay.
I want us to pick our favorite thing of the week. All right, we're going to do weekly picks.
All right.
And I'm kind of curious. What's your weekly pick? Is it Doug's nuts?
Those are pretty good, dude.
Dude, you know what? Okay, so I'll admit, we had sort of, Rick did ask us to prep some like pick of the weeks, and Doug's nuts was not my pick, but I think I need to change that to be my pick. I'll tell you what my pick was that I was going to talk a bit about. The game Crashlands came out this week.
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I saw that on Steam. That's right.
Yeah, and Crashlands is pretty cool. I'll admit that it's kind of like a weird fusion of a PC game and a mobile game, because the whole concept behind this game is that you can create a Crashlands account.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a Don't Starve type game, with kind of like some Castle Crashers type humor to it. But anyway, it's like a Don't Starve type game. You can play it on your PC, but then you can just hop right over to your tablet, log into the account, and your whole cloud save and everything is just there. It's the exact same game, you know?
Crazy.
So it's a pretty cool experience. I kind of dig it.
Combine
Anyway,
that with Doug.
But Doug's
and it's
nuts.
perfect.
Doug's nuts is absolutely my pick of the week.
Wow, there you go, guys. It's got the ass seal of approval. Pick up your Doug's nuts today.
Absolutely.
All right,
All
real
right,
quick,
Jazz. How's your
before
week
moving forward. Hold on a second, guys.
What?
All my video and stuff stopped.
I thought you were just being really.
I thought you were really holding still, buddy.
So I just turned it back on.
I thought you were just
Anything?
being like.
All right, that's what I
thought the
figured.
Benadryl
Yeah,
was kicking in.
I thought you were like really thinking about me talking about my my Crashlands mobile experience. You know,
He
like
was really into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sitting
thought
on the
that
edge of his
Benadryl was
seat.
kicking in. I thought he was just like zoning out, just
That's
like.
right. Price did say that he took a Benadryl.
Okay, I got Rick's video back. Can you see my video, Rick?
I cannot yet.
Okay. Give it a
What
second.
if
If it
I
doesn't kick
cut?
right back in, then
I'm just
I
gonna
can
use your
restart my
picture.
computer or something.
I'm just gonna
Or you
use
can use
that.
my picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to just keep going then?
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll improvise.
Let me know
All
if I
right.
reappear.
So, Price, because he lives downtown, his internet is stupid. He's got stupid downtown internet. Sure, you've got the restaurants and all the benefits of the nightlife of downtown, but your internet sucks. So, in the meantime, we're just going to wait for Price's beautiful mug to come back.
I don't know what you're talking about. Prices always looked like a beautiful swirling swirl to me.
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a very nice swirl.
What can
It
I
is-
say? I'm mesmerizing. Have you ever looked into these eyes?
All right, Jasmine. Why don't you tell us about your week?
Last week I had this incredible urge. Okay, I've had two urges to play two games. One, I really, really want to play Bioshock Infinite again.
Oh yeah.
Two, I also really, really wanted to play Katamari again. And so I didn't want to reinstall Infinite because I don't have enough space at the moment. So I had Ash get me Katamari. And
Was
oh my
it?
god, I love
Is
that
it
game.
the Katamari Damacy or We Love Katamari?
We love Katamari.
We love Katamari.
All right.
And I love it so much.
Can I talk a little bit about Katamari?
Go for it.
So I just want to talk about how it annoys me that Katamari's in this very annoying publisher situation where there's no way to play Katamari on any current gen system, which really bothers me. So there was an HD version of Katamari that came out for PS3 and a different one that came out for Xbox 360. And then, of course, there's the classics Damacy and We Love Katamari.
Mhm.
Both Xbox One has its Xbox 360 backwards compatibility now, and PS4 has its PS2 backwards compatibility now, but neither of them have gotten agreements from Namco to actually
Really?
allow Katamari to be on those systems.
That is crazy.
So
That's just you're losing yourself money by not doing
Right.
that. People will buy Katamari. That game is timeless.
Mm-hmm.
and so
good.
it was also Jasmine and me. We streamed it. Jasmine was playing it a whole bunch. So many people in the comments had never heard of Katamari
That's
before.
so
Really?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh,
there
it's
was a
such a
lot
good
of people
game.
are like, "What is Katamari? I don't understand." And I was like, the best way I could describe it is it's very Japanese. You roll things on a ball, you pick up people, and it turns into a star.
Like
My
I was
buddy
like,
Sean-
it's basically it.
there's no way to describe that game. It's
My
ridiculous.
buddy Sean just found some pictures from our wedding because he was one of my best men. Or my groomsmen, I guess. He wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, no, he was my best man. Excuse me. But he had taken a picture of me, and I look young and ridiculous. But he photoshopped in some like word bubbles.
Yeah.
Because we had been up all night before my wedding playing Katamari. And so like I just had Katamari on the brain during my wedding day, and so it's just like me, just like in my head going da 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 da. It's like, Rick, you have to say, "Oh, I do." Da 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 da. Yeah. I love that game. Me and
It's
Katamari
so
go way
good.
back.
Just when we got it booted, the first time we booted up, and then they got the whole like the no. I was like, oh man, I missed this game. Then we're like testing it out just to make sure that it runs properly, and you get all the other like just fantastic music. And I was like, it brought me back to like high
that
school.
entire soundtrack. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get that soundtrack. It's so good.
The
It's so
soundtrack is so
good.
good, and so obviously, since I talked about how the newest gen consoles, which is the only consoles we own now, don't play Katamari, I got the PS2 emulator to work. I know it's morally questionable, but I will say, newest version of the PS2 emulator, rock solid because it has native Xbox 360 controller
I am
support.
I'm gonna
Oh,
say
nice.
this one thing. So the problem with that game is I noticed
you're back.
that yay. So I noticed that I was going really sluggish, and I was getting to the point where like I was not meeting my goals because I was going too slow. Then I realized, I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong? And so I'm like holding forward. I'm like going really, really slow. And then I realized if I just turn left a little bit, all of a sudden I'm speeding along. So I need to configure the controls.
There was an
I'm not sure
old
what's going on.
mechanic, I think I remember, that like you had to like jiggle, like you're supposed to be rotating them a little bit
Well,
all
you
the
can
time.
also like dash by like
Yeah.
doing that thing.
Doing
But
the
no,
back
but
and
like
forth.
when I'm holding forward and then left on the other stick, I actually went fast forward. So I think I just have to
Oh,
reconfigure.
Maybe your controller's like mine now.
I was
going
gonna
to
say,
using
maybe
them
you
so
got a
much because
GIMP
mine is
controller.
fucking ruined. I need a new one.
My controller's fine. It's got like crabby.
I'll
Can
let
I
you guys
can I
know,
recommend rock candy?
for as much shit as you guys give my controller with its ugly nubs, perfectly solid controller. Okay.
No,
It's not.
except for the
Those
nubs.
That nub is
Except
so
for the
uncomfortable.
nubs.
My problem is any game that requires you to do that like quick like back and forth motion thing with the sticks. I like grab my controller and I ham on it, and then of course I'm ruining my controller trying to win this game. But damn it, I win it. So dumb.
1001%.
Spice
Just
Twins.
costs you $40 every game for a new
So
controller.
is that your jam? Is that your pick of the week then, Jazz? Katamari?
Yeah, definitely Katamari.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
green
That's a
tea. I've been
solid
drinking
pick,
a
man.
shit ton of green
Kidding
tea
me? Now
lately.
I'm just gonna be singing that song all night long. It's gonna be
I
so
like the
good.
one. It's just they got like rap in the background, and like I don't know any Japanese, but I know the Japanese rap to it.
Oh yeah.
So every time it happens, like da da da, ba ba da, ba. You know, I'm just those aren't the words. But when I listen to it, I'm like,
You
okay,
just-
I
you just
remember the
go
words.
I'm gonna
Japanese
find
rapping
it
on
and
it,
I'm gonna
Jess.
just play it behind.
Just a little
So
clip
you
real
really-
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. Well then, Price. Now that you're back with us, welcome back.
Hello.
Why
Back
don't you
from
tell
the
us about
dead.
your week?
My week. I'm trying to think everything that's happened this week. Probably since the last podcast. I don't know if it was on the last podcast. I got 1,001% in Isaac.
Yeah.
So now I find myself aimless in that game, which is a weird place to be.
You don't want to be
Um,
aimless in Isaac.
I mean, like, if nothing else, like, there's a chance at this point. Anybody who watches my Isaac content, I will have told you on the last episode that I'm looking to maybe putting Isaac on the back burner again for a little while, and then coming back to it when the next expansion comes out, which is sometime towards the end of this year. Rebirth Plus, I think, or Afterbirth Plus, something like that. And that's going to be really cool because it adds all kinds of like customization tools and things like that. But I'm probably like my Isaac content will probably from now on be a little bit here and there. What are you guys laughing about?
What's going on?
Our cats are meowing in the background.
They're
Sorry.
going nuts.
Damn it, Blue! It always interrupted
I think
me.
it's
He's always trying to
Kevin.
upstage me.
I think it's
Yeah, it's
Kevin.
true. He hates you.
Nah, Kevin
Yeah.
likes me. Kevin's
He's
cool.
got
There
your
he is.
number.
I see him in the background. So let's see. Other than that,
Wait, I want to ask you a question.
Mhm.
Because you are a resident wrestling fanatic,
absolutely.
right? And
Yep.
you just did the Royal Rumble,
Royal Rumble
last night, right?
Last night, yep. You can throw up a
Now-
picture if you want from Twitter that I uploaded of me wearing my luchador mask.
I absolutely will. It's right there. I'm really curious to hear the way you felt because, I mean, obviously I don't follow wrestling now. I did when I was in high school, like my freshman, sophomore year. And so what? Triple H is the winner?
Yeah, so
I know that guy. I know Triple
here's
H.
the deal. Here's the deal. I mean, it was I will say him winning after how that match turned out throughout the whole course of it was probably the best option that they had, other than giving it to Dean Ambrose, who was the other guy that was in the ring with him. But let's start at the beginning. All right. Roman Reigns is someone that they've been trying to put over in the industry for like the past year. All right. Vince really wants Roman Reigns to be the guy that everyone loves. We all
But
as
I
the
want to be the
audience,
guy.
we all as the audience know that. And he's just not very entertaining on the microphone, so people kind of hate Roman Reigns. He's just not that interesting. All right, you guys just hugging shit. Is that a little Sheamus?
No, it's
Now-
Nat
It's,
Fortress.
Doc Meat.
The Portland
So
We're just
Anyway-
listening to the story.
the way that the Royal Rumble ended up panning out was it was supposed to be this big test of strength for Roman Reigns. He has to go in at number 1, and this is a match where 30 people come in like one after the other, and you have to basically like try and survive to the end. Usually when you win the Royal Rumble, that gets you a shot at the title at WrestleMania. All right, you get to be in the headline of WrestleMania. It's a huge deal. Roman Reigns won that last year, but this year they upped the ante by making it for Roman's title. So Roman was the heavyweight champion. Then they're basically saying, this match is for your belt. You have to go in first. You have to beat the other 29 combatants to win. So whatever. It was going to be this big feat of strength. We all figured Reigns is going to win because they so want us to think that he's the strongest guy in the world. He gets an injury like 5 or 6 dudes in, all right? And he's already been in the ring for like 10, 15 minutes. So, okay, he's done a little bit. And then like it's taken out on like a stretcher kind of deal or whatever. But he never technically went over the top rope, so he was never eliminated from the match. Anyway, they bring him back in.
What a technicality.
Yeah, they bring him back in when there's like the last 5 dudes
He's at home
to
and
come
he's
into the ring.
technically still fighting.
And yeah, he comes in, he super punches Sheamus, he does all this kind of stuff. Here's the best part. Entire audience boos. They boo the guy who's supposed to be the hero of this industry. Why? Because you're doing the stupidest thing by having him essentially leave in the middle of the match and then come back later and act like, oh, he won. Bullshit. Anyway, Triple H comes out as number 30, so he's the last guy in the ring. Then his music comes on, everybody's like, whoa, Triple H hasn't been in the ring since like WrestleMania last year. And like that was like, he does like 1 match a year. So he comes out.
because he's old as shit, right?
And he's 47 or something
That's
like that. I
pretty
think. Yeah.
old
That's
to be a
pretty old for a
wrestler.
wrestler,
wrestling.
yeah.
But so he comes out and, fights out with a bunch of dudes, throws Reigns over, throws a bunch of other people over. And then it ends with Triple H and this other guy, Dean Ambrose, one of Roman's friends, and one of the guys who fans actually like are really behind. But he's currently the Intercontinental Champion. And so we're all sitting there like, if Dean Ambrose wins, that would actually be an amazing turn for the industry. But it'd probably screw Roman Reigns for the rest of his career. because everybody be like, oh, yeah, Ambrose, and then forget about Roman Reigns. Triple H wins. Now, I'm sure tonight on Raw, which has already happened earlier this week for all y'all watching this, I'm sure that Triple H will start a feud with Roman, and they're going to start this whole deal that's going to probably culminate right before or at WrestleMania, which is in April. It's kind of a silly gimmick. I'm not a huge fan of it, but some other stuff happened in the match that was cool. They brought in this guy, Sami Zayn, from NXT and up to the main roster. They brought in this guy called AJ Styles, who's from another league. So there's all this cool stuff that happened.
But you said it was kind of a gimmick. Isn't all of the WWE just kind of a gimmick?
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying this is a bad gimmick. This is a bad gimmick.
Okay. All right.
No, it's all fake. We all know it's fake. It's all storytelling. It's
and
a soap
that's what I don't
opera.
get, because you were like, Vince McMahon is really into Roman Reigns, right? So he could have easily just been like, okay, we wrote the script for Roman Reigns to win. But apparently Vince has bigger plans because he didn't let him win.
And
I mean, essentially, isn't Vince McMahon like the guy who says like, yeah, okay, you're allowed to win?
Yes. And I think, I'm sure that they're trying to come up with some really interesting story. We'll find out tonight on Raw if it actually pans out, but it seems pretty lame. Everybody else is just waiting for Seth Rollins to get back because he was champion before Roman Reigns and got an injury, like a real life injury. So he's been out for like 9 months because he's like had surgeries and things like that. Once he comes back, I'm sure that Roman will again get relegated to the back because he's not good on the mic. Anyway, that's enough wrestling talk. I know this is a wrestling hour with Stumpt.
I'm more interested
I blame
in
you for asking me.
Where's your luchador mask? That's what I'm most interested in.
It's at my brother's place. It's at my brother's place. Yep.
Yeah.
So
for safekeeping.
Beyond that, what else happened this week? A bunch of shows started back up. Yeah. So, like iZombie started back up, which I haven't watched yet. American Horror Story started back up, and then all the DC comic book shows on CW started back up. So Arrow and Flash, and they actually just started a new one. And this is my pick of the week because I was actually pleasantly surprised, which is called Legends of Tomorrow. Which
I've heard about that one.
Yeah, which is one of those ones where like all the heroes that are in it are essentially like B team DC heroes. They're characters that have been in the Flash or in Arrow as like secondary characters. And so they're all given this kind of Avengers style show. But the whole thing is about them sort of Doctor Whoing. They're traveling through time to different eras, tracking down this one guy who's trying to like destroy the timeline, named Vandal Savage. And it's actually really good. Like the first episode I watched, I was like, this is actually impressive. I might like it more than Arrow. I don't know if I like it more than Flash. We'll see after the next couple of episodes, but it's strong. So I would definitely suggest if you guys like either Arrow or Flash, go check out Legends of Tomorrow. I'm sure you will enjoy it.
Pick of
the week.
So now that, I mean, obviously for a while, comic book movies have been really popular, and DC is kind of making a comeback, right? I mean, their television shows are doing really well.
The shows are great.
It looks like they're finally starting to get their shit together with their movie production. Anyhow, I'm kind of stoked about something too. I think my pick of the week is also DC related.
Are you talking about?
I saw the newest trailer for Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that was
you know
really
what?
good.
It looks fantastic.
It looks fun.
Totally stoked on this. All right, and. First, I was a naysayer. I was like, this looks stupid. When I saw Jared Leto as the Joker, I didn't want anything to do with it. But I feel like they're going to actually do it pretty good. And I did read... sorry, what were you saying, Jess?
I'm just saying, I'm a little intimidated by Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah.
Just the whole grills. Just, the tattoos and grills, it just feels like it's a little too much.
I think that if the performance matches it, like if the writing and everything works, it'll work. Like it's not like
I'm just saying, it's very distracting. Also,
Sure.
like
I agree. I wish
to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I could actually enjoy it if I constantly have to keep looking at it.
I wish that they wouldn't have gone that direction with it. I wish they would have toned it down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to ruin the movie for me.
Yeah.
No, it looks good.
I think they basically went with the concept of every character in this movie saying, we need this to look like a unique character, like an action figure. We need this to stand out more than any other character has in the past.
And there was, and not to open a huge like can of worms here, but there was an article I was reading from this female blogger who said that she thought it was bullshit, that Harley Quinn, that her origin story was basically as a pawn of the Joker. because
That's
apparently
her origin story.
No.
that's her exactly. But apparently there is a Harley Quinn series of comics where there's a different origin story. No. I'm sorry, not comic series. It's based on Batman the animated series.
Yep, that's where Harley
Because
comes
in
from.
Batman the animated series, that was her introduction. But in that, she was the psychiatrist of the Joker.
Yes.
Okay, which was her
That's her
official origin.
Yep.
However, in the later rewrites of the story, her origin story was rewritten as the way that you're going to see it in this film.
I believe
as
we're
her falling
seeing
into a vat with the Joker.
I mean, I think that might be part of it, but from what we've seen before, because we've seen that, I saw that scene in the trailer. I know which scene you're talking about, and that might be part of it. But from what I understand, they are doing she's the Joker psychiatrist.
I assumed it was the same
essentially,
thing.
convinces her like through his psychosis, she falls in love with him. And that's kind of what helps him escape. That's he kind of tortures her in a weird way. Like it's messed up, but it's the Joker.
But
it's kind of what you expect.
I thought somewhere in the trailer that there's a shot of some letters on a desk or something in that scene that sort of allude to the fact that this is like correspondence of her being the psychiatrist.
Well, and in the first trailer, when we first saw the Joker, and he like comes into the room, he's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just going to hurt you really bad," right? That whole thing. And people were like, "Oh my God, Joker." Or they were like, "Oh my God, he looks terrible." The woman on the table was her. Right. And it was her blonde with her glasses and everything. She was non-Harley yet. And he was just about to give her, essentially, I think, ECT. Like he's giving her like electric shocks. And so that looks to me like maybe they're combining the two. Because that's how you can make her a little more superhuman is by having her fall into the vat with Joker. But
I just feel like there was a very a knee-jerk reaction to the latest trailer.
You mean the internet had a knee-jerk reaction to a piece of media and put their own problems onto it?
I thought Harley Quinn looked good in this movie. I think that her development's going to be solid. And yes, she is just a pawn of the Joker. She has always been. She's always been a ancillary character.
And it's one of those ones where it's like part of her tragedy, which makes her so interesting, is that she is brilliant. It's that she is a strong woman. And yet she, like, through her own choices, decides to be essentially be controlled by the Joker, because there are a few times throughout her series where she like actually stands up to him and she wins. You know, she's always like wins because at the end of the day, it's like, oh no, like he wins through psychological warfare. But if she wants to, she could leave whenever she wanted to. She just doesn't want to. I love Harley. The only thing that I think is a downside of the character is just that she doesn't have the voice that I attribute to Harley, which is like, "Hey, Mr. J," you know, that accent is so good.
Well, I mean, you get so used to the animated series version, the portrayal of her, that it just kind of seeps into like all the other like media like games and stuff. They always do the same thing over and over again, so it's just kind of silly. Not silly, but it's just different to see it.
That type of voice always is kind of like nails on chalkboard for me, so I'm happy enough for her not to have it.
It is the Harley Quinn voice, though. And you know, to be fair, like I grew up on that Batman animated series. I think it's one of the greatest comic book adaptations ever.
Kind of.
Okay, so last bit of comic book talk. Deadpool obviously looks fantastic.
Looks great.
Now that we've got this bonkers over the top Marvel character that's getting his own movie, what do you think the chances of getting a dupe movie is?
A what?
Who?
A dupe.
Dupe.
Are you guys familiar with the character Dupe?
No, not at all.
He's a fictional character in the Marvel universe. He basically he looks like a pickle. Let me show you what.
Is this going to be like a Floronic Man weird, or
this is way weirder, man.
Floronic Man. Oh God.
Just read that if you would. If I can direct your.
I've seen pictures of him, but I don't really understand what he is.
So I'll go ahead and tell you, Rick. We're not going to see it.
Oh, I want to so bad
because Dupe is an X-Men, and so he's technically owned by Fox.
Oh,
and they're not going to do it because they are like serious. Other than Deadpool, they are serious. Now, if Deadpool is a fucking runaway hit, which it might be, we could maybe see them working towards more and more ridiculous stuff. And if we get to like say a Deadpool 3, I could see maybe Dupe showing up in that. But otherwise,
dude, get this, all right? This is
not gonna happen.
So awesome. He's acquainted with Wolverine, and the two even teamed up in a 2-issue miniseries. It was revealed that at some indeterminate point in Dupe's life, he had an affair with a beautiful married woman. Her husband hired a private investigator, Chandler, to spy on his errant wife. Chandler found himself falling in love with Dupe. In the end, Dupe ditched the woman to have an affair with the detective. This is a pickle who's having an affair
space
with a
pickle.
married woman, and then ends up falling in love with a detective. This is so bonkers. I would love to
really
see this movie.
charismatic. You don't know.
No.
If you
Oh,
met
he's
this
obviously
guy?
really charismatic.
He's
But
a handsome
so here's
pickle.
my thing, though, Price. I think in some point in the next 5 years, I hope anyway, that we see Disney and Marvel paying some ungodly amount of money to Fox to buy those rights back from, or some sort of like sharing arrangement.
When we see how Spider-Man does, which Spider-Man will do great, and prove that the Sony-Marvel partnership is a good partnership, I think then Fox would probably be on board for that. Because all signs right now point to Deadpool's actually going to be really good. It looks really good.
Yeah.
And X-Men Apocalypse does not look very good. Like,
Right,
it
they've
looks
just
okay.
beaten X-Men into the ground at this point.
Yeah.
So
And the thing is, like, they keep going for let's go bigger and darker. And it's like,
Right.
you can't keep trying to do the same thing of like, let's go so fucking ham on this. Like, it's so dark and real and deep. It's like, just be funny. Like, from time to time, just be freaking funny. And Deadpool nailing it. Like the previews and everything for that, the advertisements they've been showing.
Those billboards, the
Brilliant.
Valentine's Day billboard.
That
The Valentine's Day one's
good,
so good. And then the emoji one. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah.
Skull, poop, L.
It took me a minute to figure out what that was saying because I so hardly refer to shit as poo.
Yeah.
I was like, skull shit L? Skull
Well,
shittle?
Well,
What-
and
what does
that's
this
the
say?
thing. Like the next billboard you would see would be Skull Shittle or Skull Poople, excuse me, coming to theaters. And it was Deadpool's release date, and it's like even they are like playing on themselves. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Anyway,
Nice.
All right, fantastic. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. How's your week? Good job, guys. We managed to talk for a good almost half hour about
We
how
always
our
do.
week was. We're getting
We
really
always do.
good at this. We're getting really good at talking about ourselves. All right, but let's talk about some of the stuff that's happened this week. Last night, well, obviously we talked to Royal Rumble Talk, but something else happened last night too. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it,
Oh, not
I
me,
but
no.
need to catch up.
the return of the X-Files last night, and stupid Carolina Panthers. Congratulations. Apparently they won and they're going to the Super Bowl. But the after game show ran late, okay? So the after game show ran till 7:30. X-Files was supposed to start at 7. Now, everybody who set their DVRs missed the last half hour of the X-Files. If you just hashtag the X-Files on Twitter and you'll just see people pissed off. Like, what the fuck? The first person I saw was Felicia Day, who's like, who do I talk to and what do I need to burn down? What the fuck? This is... So, yeah, that happened. It was the first time that I probably watched, like, live television in years. I got my rabbit ears out. And I got to tell you, critics are not hyped on the first episode.
Who cares?
Really?
I don't. I mean, I was fine with it. AV Club, which is kind of my go-to when it comes to pop culture stuff, movies and TV, gave it a C+, but their community gave it a B-. I'd probably give it a B.
I trust the community more than I trust any group of critics.
But the thing is, and I don't want to do any spoilers, just suffice to say that the first episode is a recap, basically, on everything that's happened the last 14 years.
Okay.
So they're cramming a ton of stuff into this first episode. Not only just to bring
New people on board,
fans up to speed, but also, to clue in new people.
I
Exactly.
should probably just start watching that one then because
Joel McHale is in it.
I'm
He kind of plays an
a-
Alex Jones type character, but way more charismatic.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw pictures of him, but I'm like in the third season somewhere. I just watched the part where Mulder dies and gets resurrected by a Navajo medicine man.
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah.
I really enjoyed it because it was just such a stereotype of my culture, and I was just like, "This is ridiculous" because I'm Navajo. So watching that, and he's doing that really, really bad reservation accent.
Sure.
He's talking about the white man and how we brought him back and he took the spirit journey. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is racist as hell.
You telling me you never brought a white man back on a spirit journey, Jasmine?
No, I haven't. I've never have.
So, without any spoilers, because I haven't seen it yet either,
Yeah.
let me ask this question then. This is only going to be a 6-episode miniseries.
It's a 6-episode miniseries, but I would be surprised. I would be really surprised if this was a hit that they didn't make
So,
another
I mean,
series.
that like just assuming on its own that this is only going to be 6 episodes and that's all the X-Files we ever get ever again, do you see yourself getting the answers that you want in these 6 episodes?
I think I'm pretty excited. Critics actually got the first 3 episodes. So critics have seen the first 3 episodes. And the AV Club point out that they're like, yeah, this first episode wasn't very good, but they're like, take our word for it. The next 2 episodes are fantastic.
Okay.
You know, I like the whole, let's start doing smaller series, but just chock full of story.
Yeah.
Let's start actually wrapping up stuff within that 6 episodes, so you don't have like filler that you watch constantly.
And
It's
as
like
a matter
the
of fact,
BBC model.
the next episode is going to air tonight. Well, it will have already aired by the time you fine folks are seeing this. But
okay,
tonight
that's
when
tonight.
we're recording.
You're getting me all worked up.
tonight, not
think fourth
next week tonight.
please.
You see.
Okay.
No, but I thought it was all right. They definitely did cram a ton of stuff into this first episode, so take it with a grain of salt. But know that pretty much all of the critics are saying that the next 2 episodes are actually really, really good.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Very cool.
So yep.
I mean, I now that you said that first episode is like a catch up kind of thing, maybe I will check it out because I'm with Jazz where it's like I'm way back in the series, and I'm usually the kind of person like I have to watch every single.
You definitely
thing.
don't need to watch every episode.
No, there's some things you can skip.
Yeah,
but
because a lot of
there
the
like a list that you. What's that list that actually says you could skip this one? Because
there is a very good list out there because a lot of the episode, like there's episodes that are like story episodes, and then there's like Monster of the Week episodes.
Sure.
And there's plenty of Monster of the Week episodes and the X-Files that have nothing to do with the overarching plot, and you can just skip past all those. I'm sure that there's a timeline. There's a good one out there that'll tell you all the episodes that you need to watch. But essentially, I say just watch the 2 movies. Watch the 2 movies, and then just dive into the season if you're a complete virgin of the X-Files.
Okay. The one episode you have to watch if you're going to go back is Jose Chung.
Yes, definitely watch Jose Chung because Jasmine loves that. And I've already used a clip from that episode in one of our podcasts before.
It's just, it threw me off so much because I was like, not really, I was paying attention to it, but not really. Like, I think I was drawing or doing something. And they just had that guy, he's like, he must have been like a man robot. I don't know, but the first thing he did, he went,
Oh, last thing. Wrap up the X-Files talk. This is some BS from X-Files, actually. Well, from Fox, really. Gillian Anderson said in an interview that Fox tried to offer her half of what they offered David Duchovny for this new X-Files series.
Well, hold on. They're offering David Duchovny more money than her?
Yes.
Yeah,
they offered
really
her
surprising.
Like if
they
I
offered
was
him
to actually
double.
rank the 2 right now, she's way more talented than him.
She's
at
doing
the
the
moment.
Fall. That's really successful,
Yeah.
I absolutely
Hannibal.
agree, but luckily in the end she ended up getting equal pay.
Yeah.
But she had to fight for it, and this is what they did to her during the old run of the X-Files.
Yeah, it was the same thing.
In the interview she said, I didn't believe in a million years they would try to do that to me again, and then they did.
Yep.
So shame on you, Fox, but good for you, Gillian Anderson, for getting your money.
Yep.
Getting paid.
Yeah, I read that as well. I'm like, that's such nonsense.
Yeah. And
the industry.
And Gillian Anderson looks great in this series, and Fox Mulder looks like shit. Okay, love you, Fox, but you look like shit.
I heard
right?
she lost a lot of weight because of she had like cancer at one point.
Did
She
she?
really?
I think
I
that's
know
what
she got
someone
abducted
told
by
me.
sure that's
aliens.
true.
Huh?
Aliens stole her baby. I know that.
Well, no, I
Spoiler
think,
alert from the series like 15, 20 years ago.
But
Now Jazz is going to look it up.
Gillian
She's gotta know.
Anderson also was just recently did a bunch of interviews she's in that new Eve game.
Oh.
Yeah, so she talked about how they like invented this new motion capture device because like they have all this footage of her like in the cockpit, and they really wanted like really good facial recognition.
Sure.
And whatnot.
No, that's cool.
All right. So what else happened this week? All right, let's move away from X-Files talk because I'll talk about this all night.
I've got a few things to talk about that technically happened this week. So by the time this podcast airs, it will have already happened. But
Great.
we're recording
Let's make
this.
predictions.
We're recording this Monday the 25th, FYI. In the next 3 days, I need to clear off like 150 gigs off my hard drive because there's 4 games that I want to install that are all massive.
What's coming out, baby?
The new Tomb Raider, which I've already pre-ordered,
Oh yeah.
which I love. The Division beta.
Oh yeah.
Oh, did you get in the beta?
Yeah.
Oh.
The Witness.
Oh, yes.
and the new Lego Marvel Avengers game.
Say the best for last there. I
All
see what you
very
did.
large games, all probably at least 20 gigs each.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
That Marvel Avengers game, by the way, looking great.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got
Are we gonna
all
be
kinds of
streaming that,
characters
Ash?
in there.
We've already started so many Lego games that I think our fans are just going to give up on us ever finishing any of
Just
them.
stick to one and finish it.
We could finish the Marvel one.
Well, at least the
That
Marvel
one
one, we
seems
can
like-
do like all four of us at least for a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah. That'd be fun.
Anyway, so I'm super. Of those, my list is probably Tomb Raider. I loved the first or the reboot of Tomb Raider a couple years ago, so I'm really looking forward to that. These guys are probably sick of me talking about the Division, so I'm really looking forward to the Division beta.
The Division, I was just reading that it takes place in Manhattan, but people are like, is it going to expand to the Brooklyn, the Bronx, and all that? So it's just Manhattan, yeah?
It's just Manhattan, and technically speaking, it's not the whole island either. It's just a portion of Manhattan. But it is a true one-to-one model of that portion.
That's
And
pretty cool.
It is a pretty big chunk of it.
Does
I
it
mean, it's a
suffer
big
from
island.
what like all sandbox games suffer from? Like the buildings are there, but you can't actually go inside and interact with them.
So, I mean, yeah, some of the buildings are non-interactable, but a lot of them are apparently, and a lot of the quests, aren't just the streets and stuff. They take you into the buildings to do stuff, and you're on the rooftops sometimes. They said that there's a pretty big portion of like subway systems as well that you do stuff in as well.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. By the time this airs, I'll have already gotten to play it a little bit, so hopefully I like it.
And then
Yeah,
you'll
I
know
hope
whether
you
or
like
not
it
any
too,
of us
because
are
if
gonna
you
play
like it, then we can play it. Maybe.
Right.
Oh man.
All right, so let's see. What else is there? Actually, this happened this month, and we haven't talked about it yet. And I just want to get your guys' take on this. Blizzard acquired Major League Gaming. We haven't talked about this
Right.
at all.
I didn't know
Right.
about that.
Yeah, it happened on the 4th. I pulled up all the things that have happened in January on Wikipedia so that, since this is sort of our January recap.
Mhm.
And yeah, it flew under my radar too. Granted, I don't do much MOBA playing or anything like that, but I mean, that's pretty huge because Major League Gaming has been pretty big and pretty successful.
I think I talked to Ash about this when it happened. Because I
Right.
think it was you or me, one of us. We brought it up in the chat and we just had a brief conversation about it. But I mean, I think that part of that could be a strong arm on behalf of Blizzard. Essentially, like we're going to buy MLG Gaming. If you don't sell to us at a price that we find reasonable, we will make our own competitor, and we will no longer allow you to play our games because a huge portion of MLG is Blizzard-based games. So I feel like Blizzard has a really big hand in this kind of thing, to where they can really control
That's
a
kind of
lot.
scummy, though. Just to be like, you know what? If you don't do it, then we're just going to pull out.
Right, and I am only implying this. There's no evidence to say that
Yeah.
happened. It
There's
could
no
just be that
evidence
they
to
thought
this.
it was a good decision. But I mean,
And to some extent, I don't think. I mean, I think MLG does StarCraft 2 a bit, but a lot of other leagues do StarCraft 2 as well. I actually think the biggest thing in MLG that I think is an MLG exclusive is Call of Duty. I think it's actually played
really,
super heavily in MLG. So I mean, but I can see Activision or Blizzard saying that they want to get into put both of their feet into esports, and to really do that, you need to do what Valve does with the International and what League of Legends has with their own. I don't even know what they're freaking called. So they needed their own thing.
And what I just realized, I totally forgot about this, but Vivendi just sold Activision, right?
Well,
they just got sold like a little while ago. From Vivendi used to own them, and the thing is, like Activision Blizzard was doing so well that they sold the shares off. Essentially, they doubled their investment.
Interesting.
And so it could also be that just essentially Activision Blizzard, and again, since it's Activision Blizzard, Activision owns Call of Duty, right? They probably maybe had a huge influx of cash, and we're just like, hey, this is something else that's a part of our business that we could be, getting some more out of. Might as well grab it, have it under our roof. We can control a little bit more of the MLG stuff that's going on, because I can easily see Valve now feeling like they need to get their skin in the game so that they can have like a Dota 2 network that's different. And especially, and then ESPN just stepped in. I totally forgot. ESPN just started.
ESPN has their own esports thing that they're starting as well. That I think they said they're going to have a dedicated channel to, or at least they're planning or something like that.
That'd be crazy.
It's a great time to be a gamer.
Like MLG gaming in America.
I mean, from just
crazy.
a like investment to actual money earned stance of that. I mean, I imagine the people that are like starting these competitions have to look at these tournaments and realize they don't have to put a lot of investment into this, and the amount of money that this thing's generating is massive.
Absolutely.
You know, it's crazy. I just rewatched one of my favorite movies is King of Kong. Love King of Kong. So great. You know, the David versus Goliath playing Donkey Kong, which is one of the hardest games in the world. But it's so crazy because back then that was Major League Gaming. Was in the arcades back in the late 70s, early 80s, and just like having the high score. And what did you get from having the high score? You had the high score. That's it.
Right.
Maybe you'd get your picture in a magazine. I think Life magazine did like a spread about all the kids back, you know, in middle America who had all the high scores and stuff. But you would never dream of making millions doing this. And you see these poor people who are like, they're still like, that's still their claim to fame. They're like 45, 55 years old. And they're just like, I have the highest score in Qbert, you know, or like the Qbert lady actually is like this like 80-year-old lady. It's really sweet. But I just wonder how jealous they are of like gamers these days. They're like, in my day, I didn't get paid millions of dollars for being the best at the thing I did.
It's amazing to be living during a time where gaming can be your career. I mean, look at us.
Look at us.
Hey, we're not like highly talented gamers. We just play games. You know,
I think it's attributed to the fact that we are a generation of people that grew up playing games.
Yes.
And we still continue to play games. And we enjoy watching people play games because that's what we did when we were little. And now, you know, social media has become more available to a lot of people. All of a sudden you're seeing people that are like, let's just continue doing what we're doing. And people enjoy that. And I think it's quite enjoyable. And every time I tell people like what I do like outside of work, they're like, well, why do you play games? Like, it's like, how are you making a living off video games? I was like, because, you know, it's a niche that people fill. Like, it's just the same thing. Like, if you're watching a reality TV show, why would you watch a reality TV show? It's like, well, we enjoy it because it's entertaining. Same thing for us.
I mean, I got into this. I know you guys as well. We watched content before we started creating content. It's like, I really liked a lot of these gaming YouTubers. I am the target audience as far as I'm concerned in many situations. And so it's like, I totally get it. But also when I explain it to people, I often say like, if you don't already know what Let's Playing is and everything like that, it's like, you're probably not going to be into it. No, but I'll describe it to you the same, you know?
Yeah, it's like watching any type of sports, you know, show, or like, you know, any type of football, soccer, you know, it's the same thing. It's just you're getting commentary while someone's playing a game. You're also getting
but I think that we can all agree that
version.
Unboxing videos make no sense.
So I'll say that to answer Rick's original question, I think the people that have those high scores in those arcade games, I think if they started a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel where they just played Donkey Kong and stuff, I think they'd make a fantastic
living.
living.
There is a YouTuber grandma who does play games.
No, I know, but I'm saying that these people that might feel slighted for having put in so much effort in the 80s or whatever into these games, and if they just decided to go on Twitch now and do their thing, which no one else can realistically do.
Yeah.
No one can realistically do it because these games are so friggin' hard.
They are
so hard.
Like me and Price before we started this, we bitched about Isaac a whole bunch. No, Donkey Kong, man.
Donkey Kong with those old controls that are really just.
You will be challenged just to get past the first board, let alone get a high score. Like the first board alone is so intensely hard.
So I'm not terrible at Donkey Kong, and the reason for it is, and I'm sure you guys might remember this, Donkey Kong 64, to get one of the golden bananas, you had to go into this one place, go to this console, and play the original Donkey Kong, and you had to clear the first set of levels, which I think is 3 levels. And that was the hardest golden banana for me to get by far. I think because there's either 200 or 300. I had the 199 or 299 forever. And I would just every day I would come home and I would play freaking original Donkey Kong long.
for our listeners that may not be aware, I think they explained this in the King of Kong documentary. Donkey Kong doesn't actually have the end screen, right?
No,
right. You just had
games
to
back then
play
didn't.
until the game kind of broke. Right?
They have what's called a kill screen.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, the game runs out of memory at that point.
Right.
And it's just like you will be playing, you'll get halfway through the stage, and then it'll just break into just like gibberish on the screen. Yeah. Back then, you didn't play the game to beat it. You played the game to get the highest score. That's it. There was no stories. The closest thing you're going to get to a story is Miss Pac-Man, about how she met Pac-Man. That's as deep as the stories go, you know?
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was fine.
And think about what games were built for back then. I mean, we complain about games with microtransactions nowadays, but coin-op games are the original microtransaction game.
Oh, yeah.
You die, you put in a quarter. You die, you put in a quarter. Of course they're not going to put an end in that.
Can you imagine Super Meat Boy being a quarter per life?
Oh, no. That'd be awful.
I can
You'd
imagine
spend
it.
so much money.
Yeah.
And it's called just open my bank account and set it fire to it. That's what it's called.
I mean, back then, man, games back then actually resembled games these days more so than any other time during
mobile games. I think are straight up like arcade games. Like
not just mobile games.
Similar.
I mean, Atari back then. Atari, you could self-publish cartridges and sell them for the Atari.
Sure.
Nintendo kind of changed everything because Nintendo
you had to buy their
licensed
license
every single game. So you couldn't self-publish on Nintendo, with very few exceptions. There's some religious games that got self-published. They snuck them in there. Maybe, I don't know, there's some religious exemption that Nintendo has. I don't know. No? Like,
in the Nintendo Constitution.
Yeah. But just like, during the heyday of Atari, now anybody can make a video game and get
That's
big
great.
from doing
That's
it,
great.
which is super, super awesome. There was this stale period in gaming, like a 25-year period, basically, from 1985 to 2001. Where
I do think that it was because publishers held this iron grip over the consoles, saying that we need to vet your games first before you try to put them out there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
By the way, so this reminds me of something somewhat related, and I think it's pretty interesting. That game Punch Club that's out.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have heard of it, I'm sure. It's like
I want to play it.
It's like a fighting management simulator. So, like, you have a fighter that you're trying to, manage and, like, build up their stats and everything like this. So
I think somebody that you care for dies, and then you're trying to avenge them by basically going up the ranks in this fight club kind of a thing.
Yeah. So, really, really interesting. They had no marketing push. They actually almost did this, like, as an experiment to see how this would work, where they purposefully released the game on a weekend, like on a Friday, and they sent out keys and everything like that, like right at end of Newsday, essentially, to Twitch streamers and to some YouTubers, but it was mostly focused on Twitch. And they were doing this because they're like, we don't want to go through traditional means of games media and all this kind of stuff. It's just all these hoops and things like that. They're like, we just want to see what happens if you just give the game to people and, have them stream it. And it quickly became, it was on the front page of Twitch all weekend long. Mm-hmm. So by the time it came around to Monday morning and all the people are back in their offices writing for their games, news media or whatever like that, they started talking about this game that took over Twitch over the weekend, overnight, that no one's ever heard of. What's this game? Oh my gosh. And then, YouTubers started seeing people on the stream, so they started throwing out videos as quickly as they could. And so it had this cascade because essentially it was a game that no one had heard of. And now it's doing extremely well on Steam. It's doing extremely well on YouTube. And it's really, really gotten popular. And they wrote up this big blog post essentially saying this is a great way to get your game out there and not have to worry about a lot of those hoops and things like that you might have to jump through to try and get your game noticed, is to just kind of try and flood Twitch with your game.
Fantastic, egalitarianism that is sweeping video gaming these days. And all, facets of video game culture, like from us doing this on YouTube to, developers making games,
Well, and the thing that's great about it is that there's a very quick feedback loop on if your game is good or not, right? Because if it's a crappy game and you start playing it on your Twitch stream or whatever like that, you're not enjoying it, your fans aren't enjoying it, you switch and play something else real quick. The fact that people kept playing your game all weekend shows that it was a high quality thing that people wanted to watch.
Right.
And so it very quickly gives into that cycle of people want this game,
if it was the Five Nights at Freddy's World game, then it burns out pretty quickly and it gets removed from Steam.
That's something else that happened last week.
They just started. They actually pulled it from Steam and released
bravo to Steam for actually allowing that. Yeah, it's one of only a handful of games that they've ever said we'll offer full refunds on this.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah,
they pulled it.
And they're like, the creator's like, well, I'm so sorry I pushed out such an incomplete game. And I was like, you could have, avoided this by not pushing it out at all.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think he thinks that it wasn't finished. I think that.
Well, now he's seeing that it's unfinished, and he's hearing all the things. He's like, I'm not getting the reception and the ratings that I want, so I'm going to pull it because it's clearly unfinished.
Dude, I don't understand. I mean, they're making a movie based on this game that had no business getting as big as it did. Like, dude, you're set, all right? You don't need to release this Fafna RPG, okay? Yeah. You don't need to do that. Just call it good. All right.
To me, it doesn't fit the Five Nights at Freddy's shtick, the aesthetic.
How so?
And I'm one in here who I actually think that the Five Nights at Freddy's kind of lore and everything like that is actually very interesting. I think there's a lot there.
It's an interesting lore that I think the community made, and he decided to adopt it.
Yeah, Jazz, I think you're right. You talked about this last weekend, and I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think the community made the lore. They're like, okay, there's obviously something's going on. They kind of had clues to it, but they're like, they put two and two together. They decided this is the canon for this game. He's like, you know what? I like it. I'm going to keep going with it. And so he kept doing it for all the games.
The sequels to Five Nights at Freddy really seem like a response to the canon that the fans created rather than, the other way around.
I mean, I think that much of the story was informed from that, but I think that with how quickly the things turned around and how quickly stuff got pulled out from 2 into 3 and 3 into 4 and the directions that they went with it, it's obvious that he did some thinking on it too. Either way, wherever the story comes from,
I think he definitely played on a lot of it.
Yeah,
but I'm saying it's a game that doesn't really involve a lot of programming because honestly, all you're doing is creating jump scares. Which
that's
personally,
just to me,
I don't enjoy it whatsoever.
That's fine. I don't think any of us need to judge about the quality of the game itself.
No, I'm just saying
we can judge though about the lack of quality of the newest Five Nights at Freddy's World.
I think that's the reason why he pulled it out is because he's like, I put in the same amount of effort that I probably put in the last ones, which to me honestly it was not a lot. And he's just like, I'm calling it good. But I'm only saying that because the game doesn't have a lot of.
No, I'm going to back Jazz up. It
doesn't have a lot of substance other than. Oh, I'm going to scare myself over and over again.
I'm going to back Jazz up. The concept of Five Nights at Freddy, I'm not knocking the concept, but the execution of Five Nights at Freddy, it's not the prettiest game. It doesn't look like it's the best orchestrated game. It doesn't really look like a lot of it's not complicated. It doesn't look like from a programming standpoint.
It's a simple game.
Yeah,
and I mean part of that is it's also a mobile game. Remember, all of these are all mobile games as well.
It's a mobile game too, and
so just let me finish my discussion of the lore and everything, like why I actually think that there's some good in here. Because it takes a mechanic from other games that is a small component of survival horror, makes that the main mechanic. So that's a cool idea as far as how can we push the genre forward. And then B, I think that because it takes something wholly unique, which is this essentially Chuck E. Cheese mascots and turns them into these horror characters, that's also really unique. So, regardless of how you feel about the quality of it, the animation of it, the gameplay of it, any of that, it did things that hadn't been done before, and I think that deserves at least a little bit of
absolutely.
was massively
I'm
successful.
all for the, I know maybe Jazz and Rick aren't, but I'm all for the actual scary Five Nights at Freddy's games. Mm-hmm. I'm just talking Five Nights at Freddy's World sucks.
Sure. And
I wanted to say, I never said that I didn't like the concept of the game. I said the execution of the game, I mean, it looks chintzy, okay? And it's scary because there are jump scares. The animatronic animals, they're not scary. They look weird. Yeah, they look like deformed, creepy things, but I've seen much scarier things, and you could have designed a much scarier thing, in my opinion.
But
graphically,
if they're not
the graphics
cutesy
weren't great.
And animals, then I don't think it's going to have the massive young following that it has.
Sure. I agree with Price that it's a really unique concept. I like the whole Chuck E. Cheese kind of thing about it. But I'm just saying, as a, from a creator's stance, he probably didn't put a lot of effort into it because a lot of the characters are kind of stationary. Because seriously, you're looking at screens and they're constantly just by themselves. But that's my 2 cents. I'm done.
I think you could make that same argument, Jasmine, about Undertale. Okay, it's just stationary.
The difference with Undertale is that I feel like
the story
subjective preference
held it.
That game was finely tuned. Okay, sure, it was simplistic, but it was a finely tuned.
And that's an argument you can make. The argument Jasmine was making was not that argument.
And also, Undertale is the first of the series. Okay, if he were to do Undertale 2 and it got worse reviews, then I think that we could criticize it. But Five Nights at Freddy has gotten, if you look at Metacritic, each next iteration of the game has gotten worse reviews than the last. It has gotten progressively worse as it's gone along.
Sure.
At least that's what the collective community seems to think.
As has Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2 was great, and then
Resident
everything else
best.
that.
Resident Evil definitely went down a lot. I mean,
Resident Evil 4 was great because it kind of reinvented the genre. Or not the
like
genre,
FNAF
but the
World
game.
was trying to do.
Very, very
trying to do.
And honestly, I'm just so sick of jump scares. Not just in video games, in movies too. Like movies, and it really started with The Ring, and then it went from The Ring to Paranormal Activity, and that just ruined it all. Just like, can't we just have like creepy, unsettling, scary movies like we used to have back in the day?
That's actually starting to shift now. I think jump scares were 2000. Now we're getting past that, and now we're going to get something different. We're getting.
I just want something that's a slow build that makes you feel uneasy until finally the twist is revealed, and you're like, oh.
Honestly, I talk about it all the time, but the original Alien is like my perfect suspenseful movie. There's just so many like long suspenseful cuts that are just amazing.
Also,
like what's the name of the game that you and Jazz streamed earlier?
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, exactly. Until Dawn, I thought was a great horror game. And granted, there were some jump scares in there, but there was a lot of just like a lot of creepy and
and that game does what a lot of suspenseful movies do, which is that they hold you at a camera angle that's awful. And they hold you there for a very long time. Just
they
to
make you feel uncomfortable.
Think, God, you son of a bitch! I know there's going to be something around this corner. I know it, and then there's not.
A badger.
But that whole time, you're like, oh
yeah. That game, I will say, that's the first horror game I've actually sat through in a long time. Yeah. And it wasn't that bad though. That's the thing. I think it was because it was so choose your own adventure kind of thing. And
to wrap up the Five Nights at Freddy thing, I am definitely. I don't think it's a terrible game. All right. It's honestly not my cup of tea. I can see why some people like it. I've just never really understood the huge fascination with it. I feel like it's a game that personally, I don't think it's been deserving of the hype that it's got. And so I'm kind of glad to finally see him eat some humble pie with FNAF.
And I will say this, and as I told you guys this, the thing that I don't like about FNAF World, aside from, it looks like a bad game, but is that there was already a fan-made Five Nights at Freddy's RPG called Five Nights at Fuckboys that Markiplier played through a bunch on his channel. And I watched some of that playthrough, and essentially it was like an RPG maker made Five Nights at Freddy's RPG. And so the thing that bugged me about FNAF World when I first saw all that stuff was I was like, this looks like he is ripping off a fan game made about his game, and that is dickish. Or
he's
at
gone
least
up
like
his own ass, and he's regurgitated himself.
Yeah.
I thought what was strange is that he completely took whatever element that was really popular with Five Nights at Freddy's and just removed it. And he went with this Final Fantasy Pokemon like mix, because it seemed like every time you fight you got like a new character.
It's baffling. It is absolutely.
It was certainly bizarre.
I watched Yaki play it, and I was just like, this is weird. This is
Yaki from the Killer Bits, y'all. Go check out Killer Bits.
Killer Bits. Yeah, shout out to Killer Bits. All right, guys. Well, we're rounding the 1 hour mark, and I think that's pretty good because, man, we riffed on Five Nights at Freddy. That was impromptu. I
apologize to all the Five Nights at Freddy's World or Five Nights at Freddy's fans out there. I don't apologize to the Five Nights at Freddy's World fans out there, but I apologize to all the Five Nights at Freddy fans because I know that we have a bunch out there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Hey. I'm not apologizing. This is just one man's opinion. I don't think that you guys are bad people for liking the game. It's just not my cup of tea. Like I said, we played it. I was scared. Those jump scares are impossible to not be scared by. But it's just one man's opinion.
Yeah. And for those that haven't seen it, there are, I believe, 1 or 2 episodes of me, Rick, and Price playing Five Nights at Freddy's 3.
There was also me
Yeah.
with the first one. Did we actually release the first one?
We released it, but
Wait.
I mean, that was before we had face cam. And
Yeah, and
think
I
that's what it was.
basically hid in the couch. I think
Yep.
I
Oh, yeah.
covered myself in pillows and
Yeah.
took off my
But-
headset.
We have face cam for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Go watch it because we all scream a lot.
Yeah. We do.
it gets me. It gets me.
All right. Any closing words from anybody? Anything that we missed before we sign off?
You know, I'm going to go prepare my hard drive, man, because there's great games coming out this week.
I'm going to go prepare my mind because X-Files starts in 25 minutes.
I'm going to go watch Monday Night Raw.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching another episode of Stumptcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope we didn't offend too many people. Jasmine.
Jasmine.
What? I just
And,
don't like it.
Of course, if you like us, we hope you do, then give us a like, favorite, share, and subscribe. And come back next time when we'll be talking more crazy stuff on another episode of Stumptcast. Bye, guys!
Bye.